In this video, we're going to look at your calculator, or this one is the TI-30XS Multiview, and the order of operations. So I have 4 expressions written here, and these probably look a little horrific or intimidating, okay? These ones we actually don't calculate by hand. I would not calculate them by hand. I could. It would take me a really long time and it wouldn't be worth it. So these are ones that you're definitely going to do on your calculator. And there are enough buttons now on these new calculators. Well, it's not really that new, but that you can set it up just the way it looks. Okay, so it can be problematic. In the past, you needed to use lots of parentheses to make sure that the order of operations were followed correctly. Your calculator knows the order of operations, but if you write things or type things horizontally, sometimes you need to add extra parentheses. But we're going to bypass all of that and just use these buttons to type them exactly as they appear. Okay, so first, letter A. I see a fraction. So the first thing we want to do is get a fraction ready. 10,000 goes on the top. Did I get all the zeros? Nope. There we go. I use the arrow to go down, okay? And you need to put this entire expression in parentheses. It's raised to the 60th power. And again, when all else fails, just use the same form that you see written. Close the parentheses, and to raise this to the 60th power, I hit the caret. Notice the cursor moves up. I type 60, and then it's good practice in general. Just use the right arrow until you're completely out of the expression before you hit enter. Okay, and this result is 7,870 and some decimals. Okay, for most of these are actually finance formulas that you're going to use in chapter 5. Okay, so this is actually a money value if it was in an applied problem. So we'll round this to 2 decimal places. The third is 5. That means we round up to 5 cents from 4 cents. So and this is our result. Let's look at the next one. Okay, here we don't start with a fraction. We're going to start with 6,000. Okay, now we need parentheses. Just following this left to right. 1 plus, and after the 1 plus, we do need a fraction. So I'm going to hit N over D. Okay. Notice it makes the parentheses bigger. I like that. Notice I put in 0.09, and typically we type numbers that way. The 0 isn't really necessary. The thing is, if we don't put in the 0, sometimes people don't see the decimal or they get confused by it. So it's just nice form to enter the 0, but if you want to save yourself a step here, you don't have to type that first 0. A 4 goes in the denominator. Now we're going to move to the right so we can close the parentheses. And now our exponent has 4 times 20. So exponent, and we can do operations in the exponent. So 4 times 20. Okay, so you could have typed or multiplied first and gotten 80 and put that. Okay, but you can put the operations there itself. Okay, later on when you need an operation afterwards, we'll see this in these 2 problems. Say we just wanted 4 times 20 at the end, you need to use the caret to get out of the exponent, which we will do now, but we wanted the 4 times 20 in the exponent. And then we hit enter. Okay, this is our result. 2 decimal places. We have 0.87. And I've typed our answer right here. So 35,580.87. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, so here we start with parentheses. And we have 1 plus. We're going to put in our fraction, 0.05 over 365. Now I need to close the parentheses. I want to show you something. Say I hit the parentheses now. Notice that's in the denominator. So that's an error because I want it outside. I'm going to use the arrow to go back and delete that. Okay, so now make sure you leave the fractional part then we close the parentheses. Our exponent is 365, so we're going to hit the caret button. Okay, and now this minus 1 is not in the exponent, so we use a right arrow. So the cursor goes down and we put minus 1. Okay, now check that the form matches up. It looks like everything's in the right place. And I hit enter. Okay, and in this case, this is a problem we'll learn in finance again. This is actually the decimal form of a percentage. We're going to do 4 decimal places on this. So we have 0, 4, 1. The 4th decimal place is a 2, but to the right is a 6, so we'll round up to 3. So it'll be 0.0513. And there's our result. Okay, now this last one is really complex looking and scary. Not scary, but intimidating maybe. The good news, you will do probably one of these by hand, but this is such a mess that people actually made calculators that do this without having to type it all in this form. You'll see there's a few common numbers. There's this number, 0.08 over 12 are on the top and bottom. That 12 actually corresponds to this 12. We have the times 25. So it turns out if you know 0.08, 12, 25, and this number, there's going to be a special calculator where you just put those in and it will tell you. But it's good to do one of these by hand, not by hand, by regular calculator, because if you can do this one, you can do anything. Okay, so again, just remember we're going to follow this left to right and make sure we keep the form. So we have 150, that's a multiplication symbol. Okay, now we need a big fraction. Okay, now I'm starting off in the top, so we have parentheses, 1 plus, now we need a fraction in this fraction. We have 0.08 over 12. Now I need to close these parentheses, so I'll move outside the fraction, close them, and now we have an exponent, 12 times 25. Oops, I somehow missed the 2, so I'm going to go back. I'm just going to type over it, 5. There we go, 12 times 25. And again, this minus 1 is not in the exponent, but notice it is in the numerator. So we're going to go to the right. Notice we're still up here in the numerator, and we put minus 1. Now I'm going to move down to the denominator. The denominator has its own fraction, so I'm going to hit the fraction button, 0.08 over 12. Okay. And I want to double check that everything's right. This one's so long you can't even see the whole thing. But we have the 150. Here's this piece right here, 1 plus 0.08 over 12. That's in parentheses. I'll move to the right to make sure this is 12 times 25. The denominator's correct. Okay, and here's the other side, 12 times 25. And the minus 1 is in the numerator, but down, not in the exponent. So it looks good. Hit enter, and there's our result. This is actually a dollar amount, so we'll round this to 2 decimal places, which is cents, so we'd round this up to 0.96. And I've updated our result here. Okay, so I hope this helps you see the structure of these problems, how you can enter them in the calculator. For a lot of students, these finance sections, they know how to find all the numbers and where they go, and you can write it just like this, and then you make some small mistake on the calculator and your answer is wrong, and it's very frustrating, and you think you didn't learn anything, and you try to figure out what you did wrong, but it's really just a calculator issue. Okay, so that's why I highly recommend using these buttons so you can make the forms match up, and then you could be more confident that if you do get it incorrect, it's not a calculator issue, it's something else you need to look into. Okay,